and I'm the owner of Creations Misfit, and today I'm going to show you how to do a single crochet. So I wanted to show you on my last video where I showed how to do how you actually start crocheting with the slip knot and the chain. I wanted to show you on your yarn, it will tell you um, right here it says super bulky number 6 yarn, and that's going to give you what size yarn you're using, and then it will also tell you here's the knitting needles and here's the crochet needle, and this one says 8mm. So that's like, I mean, basically they're just giving you an idea of what size hook should be used with that yarn. You can definitely use different size hooks, but this is the one that will work best. For today, this is the yarn that I'm using, Bernat Beyond, and it's a size 6, super bulky. And I'm actually going to use a 10mm hook because it just shows up better in the video so that you can see the stitches. Alright, so let's get started. If you haven't learned how to do a slip knot or a chain, you'll want to learn that first because that's the primary thing you need to learn when you first start crocheting, and then you can move on to the single crochet, which I'm going to show you today. I do have a video for the slip knot and the chain, and I'll link it below in the description box if you want to start there. But anyways, so I won't go too slow here with the slip knot and chain because we do have a video for that already. But you're going to want to start with your slip knot. And of course there's different ways to do it. This is the way that I prefer. But if you find something that works for you, just go for it and stick with it. Okay, and then for a chain, today we'll just chain up 10 to start. 1, 2, whoops. This yarn can get a little bit pulled apart, but I do love it. Alright, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I'm making these a little bit big so that it's easier to see on camera. You know, it's just dependent upon how loose or how tight you want your stitches. You can make your chains looser or tighter, but you also have to remember that you're going to be putting stitches in here, so you don't want them too tight. Okay, now with single crochet, when you're crocheting something in a row, you're always going to want to start your next row with a single crochet chain, or I'm sorry, with a one chain, so that it brings, here, let me see if I can show you. Okay, so say we're going to make a scarf, and we start out with it just being this wide, like a little baby scarf or something. Your single crochets are going to go back this way from here. So in order to make the next row go up a little bit, you have to chain 1 at the end of each of your rows. So if you want 10 across, which we have, then we're going to chain 1 to start our next row, and we're going to skip that chain. And don't worry about that too much. I'm just showing you because that's what you'll need to do. But if you don't do that, what happens is your project starts going like this. I made a triangle blanket once because I didn't understand the chains at the end of the rows. And the larger stitch you do, like if you're doing a double crochet, then you'll want to chain 2 or 3 at the end, and your pattern will tell you that. But for a single crochet, it's almost always chain 1 and then start your next row. But like I said, don't worry about that too much. As you go, you'll learn more and more. I just wanted to throw it out there so that you do realize that that's what it's for if you find it in a pattern. Okay, so now we have 11 chains on the hook, and we're going to start our single crochet. So we skip this last one because this one's just going to bring us up so that the next level is heightened this way. Okay, so we're going to skip this first chain, and what you're going to do is go into the next chain. Now, a chain has 3 parts to it. It has, here, I'll show you. It has this first top row and its bottom row, and then on the back, it has like this little loop. Now, some people like to chain in the back loop, and that's fine. It's because this is your foundation row, the bottom of your project is going to be a little bit different than the top, but you don't want it to look too much different. So some people go in the back loops, and I wouldn't suggest that for just starting out because they're a little bit more difficult to get into, but it does look really nice when you go into the back loops because then you have two loops that are on the bottom of your project. The other way you can do is go in just the top loop here. And that's the way that I normally do. Um, and that leaves one loop underneath, which is a little bit thinner than having two loops on the bottom, but it doesn't matter. I'm just explaining this for whatever reason, but really it doesn't matter. You can even try to go into both loops, but that's really hard because then you have to, it's just more difficult. So anyways, what we're going to do is just go into the top loop. So, okay, we're skipping this first chain. If you can see, the chain is the two pieces. It kind of looks like a little V. Okay, each stitch looks like a little V. I'll show you how you count them. So like here's one V, two V's, three V's, and you'll learn to count really easily once you keep going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's our 11. All right, so anyways, let's get started. You skip this first one, and into the second one, you're going to place your hook in just the top, okay? And you're going to do what we call a yarn over. And this is what you did for the chain also. Remember when you first learned chains, you yarn over and you turn your hook and pull through. Now, normally with a chain, you've already pulled through. Oops. You've already pulled through and that's it. It's just a chain. Now with a single crochet, you have to do that once more. You're going to yarn over again with your hook, turn, and you're going to go through both of the loops on the hook. And then that's your single crochet. Now if you remember for a chain, you just yarn over, turn, and pull through once. I'm going to take that out. But with a single crochet, you have to do it twice. Okay, so now let's go into the next one. You can see that you just went into this one here. Or let's go into the next one, which is right here. And you insert your hook. I kind of hold my thumb over this because sometimes it just gets a little more difficult if you're not holding it properly. So I don't think a lot of people probably do it that way, but I tend to hold my thumb here if it makes it easier for you. If not, no big deal. All right, so we're gonna put our hook into that top loop of the second chain. We go in, and let me just tell you that going into the chain is the hardest part. As you start doing single crochets into other single crochets, it's so much easier. So just, don't get frustrated if it's really hard at first to get into the chain because there's nothing solid here that's, helping keep it static. It's just a little bit more difficult to go into the chains. So, all right, let's go into this second loop. Yarn over. So put your hook around and pull through. And now you have two loops on your hook. So you're going to yarn over again. And remember to keep this kind of loose. Yarn over and pull through both loops. And there's your second single crochet. Okay, now as you go, it will get so much easier, I promise. When you first start out, trying to hold your tension the same is really difficult. And you will have I used to do it really tight. So I would hold everything really tight and I'd be going in and pulling and then I would be trying to pull through and it'd be like this and my yarn was squeaking and it was obnoxious and I felt very defeated, but just keep with it. It's no big deal. You can always pull your work out and start over or keep practicing even if your first few projects or your first examples of your single crochets are just crazy looking, some loose, some tight. That's totally fine. That's how we all started. So just keep practicing with it and you'll get your tension perfect for you. So let's do a few more. We're going to go into this next top part of the chain. Insert your hook. grab that yarn up top, yarn over, pull through the loop. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again, and pull through both. Okay, so now we have 3 single crochets. We're going to go into this next one right there. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, pull through both loops. We'll go to the next one. You can see it right here. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, and pull through both loops. Okay, let's do one more, and then I'm going to go to the end, and then we'll turn, and I'll show you how you start going into the actual single crochets you made, which just gets easier and easier as your project gets larger. Okay, so we just went in this one. You can always see where your stitch is. It's right here. So we don't want to go in that one again. We want to go into this next one that there's nothing in. Insert your hook. Grab the yarn and yarn over. Pull through. 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pull through both loops. Okay, now I'm just going to do a few more here. Quickly, you can practice yours. You can do as many as you want, if you want to chain. I used to chain like 100, and then I would just practice, go back and forth, practicing my single crochets or my chains or whatever the new stitch was that I was learning. Okay, so let me see how many, and here's the top of the stitches. You can see the tops, and you'll be able to count those. Those also look like V's. So like here, I don't know if you can see that. Here is your first single crochet. That's 1. Here's a second, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so we have 10. So when you get to the end of the row, let me grab some more yarn here. When you get to the end of the row, you're going to sometimes you're going to turn your work, and we're going to start working back the other way, but you're going to do that chain 1, remember, because you're doing a single crochet, so you need the next part to go up. If I just started single crocheting back in this, like I said, it's just going to bring your work in, and you're going to not be able to get into all your stitches, and it will be a disaster, and you'll have to pull out all your work, which is really sad. And we do that a lot anyways, but so you're going to have to do your single crochet. So you could either do your single crochet, or I'm sorry, your chain 1. You could either do your chain 1 now and then turn your work, or you could turn your work and then do your chain 1. I like to do it right away so that I'm done with the row. So we're going to chain 1. If you remember how to chain, you're going to just go straight over, yarn over, and pull through. Chain 1. That seems really easy now, doesn't it? Now that you've learned the single crochet. All right, so we chained 1, turn our work, and now we're ready to go back. So before, as you were going through just 1 loop, now here, I'm going to pull this out for a second. If you ever want to look at your work or something, you don't want your hook in, you can always just pull up on this, and then when you go back to it, you'll pull it tight, but this way you don't lose any of the work that you did. All right, so now let's look at our stitches from this way. You want to look at them from the top. So you got to find that first V, all right? That's your first stitch, second, third, fourth, fifth. The first V is sometimes hard to find because you're kind of right on top of it, so you don't want to skip it. But what we're going to do is go through both pieces now. We're going to go through the whole stitch. So that's the second, that's the third. Whereas before you were just going through the top loop for the chain. Now for the single crochet, you go through both. And I know it probably sounds pretty confusing, but it gets really easy. I mean, the chain is the only thing you go through 1 loop, and then, from there on out, your stitches, you're always going through the tops, of both. So, okay, I'm going to insert my hook back into my loop here, and then you just pull on this and it brings you right back to where you were. Okay, so we did our chain one already. We're ready to go. Here is my first stitch. Okay, so we're going to just insert the hook into both pieces right underneath the V, yarn over like we did before, and pull through. And then you have your 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through. Now we go into the next one, and you can see here's where your stitch is, so you're going to go into the next. And if you flip your work a little bit, you can see this V right here. That's your next stitch, and you're going to go underneath both pieces. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. And you kind of want to pull up a little bit, because if you don't pull up, this will be really tight, and like I said, you're not going to be able to look at how hard that will be to get through. So you want to kind of pull up a little bit, like leave your tension a little bit loose, especially when you're first starting out. I suggest crocheting loosely, because then you leave yourself plenty of room to get in, and you can always tighten up as you go. All right, so we have 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through both. Okay, so that's our second one. And you can see here, there's your first single crochet right there, and there's your second. I know, it's really confusing when you first start, but I promise you it gets really easy really fast. Especially as you learn more and more, this will seem so simple. Okay, so our next one is right here, and you can see the top. You're going to go through both. So insert your hook under both pieces, and we're going to yarn over, turn our hook, and pull through. And then we have two loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. So that's 3. All right, now here's our next one. You can see it right under here. So you don't always have to turn, but if you get confused, you can turn and see that there's the full stitch. But here's the hole where you'll go in. There's the next one. You just kind of pull them apart. All right, so let's insert our hook. Grab the yarn and yarn over. Pull through. 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops. Next one, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, there's 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through both. Next, insert our hook, right there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Next, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over again, and pull through 2. I don't know if I'm going too fast, too slow, whatever it is, I apologize. This is only my 3rd video, but you can either, pause the video if I'm going too fast, or, just kind of move along on your own if I'm going too slow. All right, so we have 3 left. 1, 2, and 3. You always have to make sure you get into that last one. That's why it's really good to count your stitches so you know where you're at. Otherwise, you will end up with that triangle blanket I was telling you about, because I never counted my stitches. I thought, I don't need to do that. But you actually do. All right. So insert the hook into both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And also I'm doing this like up in the air because I have the camera right in front of me and I'm not doing it on the table, but a lot of times you'll have your work, kind of lower, so it will be a little easier too, or on your lap or whatever it is. All right, so now at the end, you can see that there's still 1 stitch left here. So we have to make sure that we go into that last stitch, and you have to make sure that you go into the whole thing. Okay, so we're going to insert the hook under both pieces, and sometimes it can be a little tricky to get into that last one. All right, both pieces, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through 2. And now you have 2 rows of single crochet and a chain row. All right, so let's count our stitches to make sure that we had 10. Now here's 1. You never count the loop on the hook because that's not a single crochet stitch. That's just you're always going to have a loop on the hook. Okay, so here's your first. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's the last one, 10, right here. Okay, so now what do you do at the end of the row? You chain 1 and turn your work. And now we're going to work into this row. So I'll do one more row with you, and then I'll leave you to practice. And like I said, you can do a chain of, even if you want to do a chain of 50, and then just keep practicing your single crochets back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you feel really comfortable with it. And then you can move on to the next stitch, which is half double crochet, if that's what you want to learn next. But that's what I would suggest. And I'm going to make a video for that right after this. So if you want to move on to that when you're finished with singles. All right, so now we made our chain 1. So you can see the chain 1 just brings you up to the next level so that you're not even with the last level. See how it goes up a little bit? All right, now you have to find that first stitch. And you can count here. You have to hold your yarn up so that this doesn't look like a stitch. But you can count them. Here's your first. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 if you get confused. I used to always try and go into this right here, and that's not a stitch. That's where your chain 1 is. So you don't want to go into the chain 1. You want to go into the first stitch. All right, so let's insert our hook under both. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, here's our next. You can see it from the top. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Next, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Next, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Next, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now go ahead and do your last 3. I'm just going to do them at a normal pace, and once you get going, you'll see how easy this becomes. Do our last 3. Make sure you always go into the last one, and then count your stitches to make sure your row is complete. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And some people like to count these posts instead, and you can do that too, but it gets a little confusing for me sometimes because sometimes the end post is your chain 1. So, but you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. See how it kind of shows an 11? That's where I get confused. So I just like to count the stitches on top. So now you finish that row. You're going to do your chain 1 if you're still working on your project. If you're done, then you're done, and we'll show you how to tie off another time. But for now, this is just practice single crochet. So you've gotten your next row ready to go, and there you are. Mine's a little bit wonky because I'm doing a little bit looser and tighter as we go. But so that's a single crochet, and if you want to learn the slip knot and the chain a little bit better, I'll put the link for the description, or I'll put the link in the description below. If you want to go on and learn the half double crochet and the double crochet, I'll be doing a video for those hopefully later today, and I will link those as well once they're done. But if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Again, this is only my 3rd video, so I'm still learning. So if you have any suggestions, that would be great. If there's anything you want to learn that I don't have up yet, that would be helpful to hear about as well. So anyway, have a great day, and thank you for watching. And if you could give this video a like, that would help me, so that I know people are watching and that I can keep making more videos. Thank you so much, and have a good one.